topic today is going to be on inhumane treatment of animals, and my general purpose is to inform. By the end of my speech, I hope you have a better understanding of inhumane animal treatment and how it affects the food that you eat. By treating our animals inhumanely, it definitely has a profound effect on the food we eat. First, I'm going to talk about the inhumane treatment of fowl. The fowl practices used against them that directly relates to the avian flu, also known as the bird flu. Next, I'll talk about the inhumane treatment of our hogs and pigs, and how by confining them in such close quarters, it can actually spread the swine flu between them. And finally, I'll get to the meat of my topic and discuss the inhumane treatment of cattle and what we actually feed them and how that's directly related to mad cow disease. Now, some of the images you may see might be quite disturbing, but it's actually what's going on at our animal factories today. Here we see some chickens cooped up together, their heads sticking out of the cage. Here we see the way hogs are treated, and that's pretty much how they live their life in there until they're ready to be consumed. And here we see some diseased cattle that actually makes it to our plates. So with that said, how many people here like to eat meat, pork, and chicken? By show of hands, you know, well, like the saying go, you are what you eat, right? I myself like to eat meat, pork, and chicken as well. But I feel as a consumer we deserve the right to know exactly where our meat comes from and exactly what it goes through before it reaches our table. The fact that we treat these animals so inhumanely definitely affects the way that the diseases are spread. It creates new strains of infectious diseases, as well as affects the growth and development of our youth and the health of the consumer. Now first, let's start talking about our chickens. What were once known as farms are now nothing more than animal factories. According to Eric Marcus, author of the book Vegan, chickens were once free to roam in indoor-outdoor coops to lay eggs naturally in a stress-free environment, but nowadays they're confined by the thousands in these animal factories and forced to endure treatments such as forced molting and debeaking in order for them to produce more eggs, as well as stop the aggression and cannibalism that does seem to occur between chickens and birds when you confine them so closely together. Here you can see chickens by the thousands, dead chickens on top of so-called healthy chickens, and here you see a diseased chicken, and these chickens are cooped together, and they actually make it to their table. Now, also stated by Eric Marcus in the same book, antibiotics and vaccines are given in order to suppress epidemics, but as we've seen in the past with the bird flu and the avian flu, it doesn't always work. In the 2004 article in USA Today by James Van Trees, he states that epidemics such as the avian flu began on large farm organizations that slaughter chickens and ducks by the millions. Simply put, overcrowding and poor sanitary conditions create the perfect environment to incubate and spread new infectious diseases to the consumer. Now that we've seen a little bit about our chickens, let's move on to our pigs. Oh, let me show you a little something of the practices of debaking and forced molting. This is actually a chicken that has gone through forced molting. It's been starved for up to 5 to 15 days. These forced molted chickens are cooped together. And due to the starvation, it also creates more diseases as well. And these are chickens that have been debeaked in order to stop them from pecking at each other. Now, according to a 2009 internet article from SierraClub.org, hogs and pigs are confined also by the thousands and forced to live their lives in these small pens and actually breathe high levels of poisonous gas from ammonia and hydrogen sulfide from the manure that's stored underneath their pens. And this exposure to these toxic gases actually does create other diseases. And by the fact that they're so confined together, it creates these diseases that can be spread very, very easily to these hogs and pigs. And here's a dead pig, and here's one that's pretty much dying. So hopefully they never made it to my plate. Hogs are actually social creatures that, they need outlets in order to, feed that social sentient personality that they have. But due to this stress that's put on them, it causes a lot of physiological damage to the cows, to the pigs. Excuse me. Antibiotics and vaccines are also given to these pigs in order to suppress epidemics as well. But the antibiotics and vaccines we give don't always work because viruses and bacteria and stuff like that tend to mutate. In a 2006 article from the Journal of Environmental Health, it states that farmers, veterinarians, and meat processors are at a much higher risk of getting infectious diseases that actually infect cows because of the fact that they're so closely, tending to them all the time. And in these overcrowded pens also, introduction of young pigs to the existing herds creates swine flu to be a year-round occurrence rather than a seasonal event it once was. It's actually a virus that doesn't affect pigs naturally, but from the overcrowding and intensive stress that they put on the animal, it's now a year-round occurrence. And here's some employees tending to pigs that are just cooped up by the thousands. Actually, the U.S. industry employs about 575,000 employees to tend to these pigs. And over the past 60 years has transitioned from small farms to these large, huge herds on these farm organizations. So now that we've taken a look at our pigs, let's take a look at our cattle. How many people actually know what our cattle eat? I would love to think that they just eat hay, but according to a 2006 Food and Agriculture article obtained online at ucsusa.org, feed that we feed our cattle can actually contain cattle manure, swine waste, and poultry litter. And here you see how some of our cattle are treated. Infectious diseases going on here, infected bladder, and dead cows being handed in with live cows. And this food just creates massive diseases. Also, the way that they're treated does not give, they don't get the right kind of care. And the food can also contain waste from drugs, vaccines, and antibiotics that have gone through other chickens and hens that have been unchanged. Now, federal law passed a law that bans cows from eating other cows, but they permit chickens and ducks and pigs to eat these rendered cows, and these chickens and ducks and pigs to be rendered back and fed back to the cattle. So it just creates a loophole for unhealthy meat to just be taken back to the healthy meat, which really doesn't belong. Now, according to the same article, that loophole that is created also affects the groundwater, the ground and the groundwater from the manure, because the vaccines and the antibiotics that go from the waste into the manure affects our groundwater and our aquatic systems that can affect the fish. Now, besides what we're feeding them, the waste and everything else that goes into their food, they're also being injected with massive hormones in order to produce more milk and more beef. And these hormones have actually been implicated in the early onset of puberty in young women, which may lead to future breast cancer or other kinds of cancer. They're still doing studies on it, but they feel that the hormones that are being injected in there are definitely affecting the growth and development of our youth. Now, these hormones have been banned by federal law to be used by people, but yet they let our animals use them and let us eat the animals that have just used these hormones that they say are destructive to us or will harm us. So what's going on there in our animal factories really makes no sense. I'd like to just show you a quick clip of something.
Robert,
Yeah. This time?
you're the honest.
Okay.
Robert.
This time. All right. Okay. And to sum it up, there we go. We should really think more about how we treat the meat we eat. Is that?